Welcome back to the LCS. Mark has doomed TSM with his predictive behavior.
On the bench.
He's out of it. He's gone. He's donezo. Instead, we're going to be hanging out here on the State Farm Analyst desk.
Where'd
Dignitas.
Alvaro? I feel like they should be joining him.
Yeah, they're hiding. I think Mark's a little bit of a scary person, but you know who's also looking scary sometimes? Dignitas QNTMPAY. They're taking on quite a threat in another scary team, though. It's C9 on the other side, and Perks has been over 9,000 at this point.
Right. When I look at mid laners and I watch them play, I kind of think of like, what is this guy doing? And that can either be a good thing or a bad thing. And when I look at Perks play, I'm like, what is this guy doing in a good way? Because he surprised me with either his positioning or his mechanics in a play that are like good to do. Whereas other players are like, why are you doing this, man? But Perks, he passes my benchmark test of what are you doing in a good way, so I'm a fan.
Yeah, I loved a lot of his recent play. I think his Silas game was definitely the standout when he was on the top side of the map. They swapped him up there. And he definitely, I mean, I remember you talking about the fact that he straight up won out the lane. Stomped him in that one. And then his team fights were exceptional. So, like, that's what you expect from Perks, and also the most recent game working with Blabber. Great job, and this is what we wanted to see from them.
Speaking of team fights, though, Perks has some peeps he's got to worry about because Fate God last time around really delivered that Grubhub dub with that team fight on the Gnar.
Yeah, this one was fun because this was Dignitas moving away from Baron and saying that we wanted a team fight by any means necessary. And so it was the Lulu ulted Dardoch and the Xin Zhao. Meanwhile, Narbar being charged up, and it was this play that got me moving. I loved it. Fate God is insane on this one. And so, like, it's just the team fight plays from him. When he's on the Aatrox, when he's on the Gnar, I want to see him pop off.
And he got you moving. He got a lot of people moving in that play. And, of course, you can use the code GHFeeds for free delivery and a Hextech chest plus key with your Grubhub order. Or you can scan the QR code on your screen and have the discount apply automatically. This week, I'm making no more comments about olives. Instead, I'll encourage you to order from some local businesses. A lot of them write personalized messages in my case, so you could save yourself from a generic, lonely night of eating olives. I mean, what I meant to say is we're gonna move on from some food talk.
She really doesn't like olives.
I don't. They're terrible. I don't know why they got so popular, but there's been a lot of people that have been talking about Dignitas QNTMPAY because there's a certain jungler that has been the many-faced god in that aspect.
Right. So Dardoch kind of leads and lives and dies by the jungle, or Dignitas does rather. And I don't know if that's necessarily a good or a bad thing, but in Dignitas' case, it seems to be a good thing. When he's doing well, when he's playing good, they are destroying the enemy team, and more often than not, he's doing well. Not only that, he plays a ton of different champions, which also turns out to be good for the most part. So I really like what he does for this team. He leads them in the game mechanically, and he's also a pretty big voice for their team as well. So he's holding his own. And then on the other side, Blabber was doing really well during spring, and then MSI came, and then something happened. He was like at top of the cliff, and then instead of going higher up, he kind of fell off, and hopefully he'll be able to climb back up.
Yeah, and I think for both sides, I mean, Dignitas was ready coming into the split. You know, the scrims coming in, and also, as you said, they're a team that plays well for jungle consistently. Level 1, if there's an invade, they're going all in. If there's enemy invade, all in defense for it. And also a lot of their compositions have also included mid lane supports. So Lulu in the previous one, a set mid lane just set his rumble up. So like the stats don't lie in basically that strategy working out. Meanwhile, the week one for Cloud9 has been awful, and it has for me. I haven't been too sad about Blabber. It's been mostly the lanes adjacent to him,
Right.
because. Of course, like Perks in week one, there were games.
The Renekton
game was one, especially since that was literally a Renekton Nidalee game. It's not just him; it's also the Nidalee that's impacted by that performance. But also in that same game, Malphite gets solo killed in that literal same instance. So I think it was more of a lane difference in that game. So I think the bounce back, especially this week on his Xin Zhao, has been great.
Right. I don't necessarily think Blabber's been playing bad,
Yeah.
but the team has it in general. And when your team is falling behind as a jungler, that's the worst feeling because you have 3 lanes inting. That affects you personally. If you're just a laner and your top laner ints, that's kind of whatever, you know? I don't interact with top lane that much anyway.
Yeah.
But the jungler, he has all 3 lanes that can affect him. He's just super sad.
It's an exciting matchup, though, when you look at the fact that Dignitas, from the beginning, very clear about the fact that they are working around Dardoch. And then on the other side with Cloud9, you mentioned that Renekton game, but they did their best to try to make you forget with the LeBlanc play that we saw following after that. We are going to see if Blabber can come alive and bring his team the win right after this. Yeah. Don't bring olives!
They're not that bad.
Decorative towel.
There was a mess. I wiped up a mess.
Yeah, you
Where is the box? Never mind, I found it!
When game day is a go, there's a Bud Light there.
Hello everyone, my name is Julian Pastry Time Cod. Joining me is Crumbs. Crumbs, very excited here for Dignitas versus Cloud9.
That's right. Dignitas is slowly improving as the weeks go by, especially with the addition of Yasuo. It feels like they are indexing more and more in assisting Dardoch. Playing Karma and Lulu, really. It seems like, hey, we just want somebody to come here and do this with us, but it's a really fine strategy. It's been working for a lot of teams, protecting the Xin Zhao. And on the flip side, you've got Cloud9, who their return to form is not going to be linear. It's not going to be beautiful. It has had some bumpiness along the road there, so it's really important for them that this match is actually one of the better ones in their return to form, because if they meet a Dignitas that is simultaneously surging, they could suffer a loss, and we're going to continue to doubt them for the next few weeks.
Yeah, definitely a fun place for these teams to converge. But before we see Dignitas QNTMPAY taking on Cloud9, we're teaming up at the White House to continue to spread awareness around COVID-19 vaccinations. A big part of the LCS being back in studio, honestly, is thanks to vaccine adoption, and the more the merrier. Getting vaccinated is the best way to defeat COVID-19 and just get us all back to normal. So if you're in the US, the vaccine is free and available to everyone. Use those methods on your screen to find out how to get vaccinated.
Let's do it.
All right. So, fun stuff here. I think I love the mid lane, so I'm always going to be drawn there. I think Yasui being a new addition, especially given how well Solio was playing with the teams, obviously an interesting point of contention for some people. But I think Perks has been kind of on one lately. I mean, he had that absolutely banger LeBlanc game. He's just done a game yesterday. It was a huge reason they were able to come back against CLG. So I'm very curious just what they want to play. Because, like, yes, Perks can play Enchanters, but I don't think Perks wants to play Enchanters necessarily.
It feels like Perks is playing playoff form Perks just to make up for the fact that the rest of the Cloud9 lineup is still struggling a little bit. So, like you say, I don't think they're actually going to be playing that style. There's plenty of other ways to play League of Legends right now. He is always the player that wants to have much more agency to find plays, because he is a multi-region winner. He's won so much that you want to always allow him to have the option to find the plays that he sees that nobody else has. Hai was mentioning that when you watch Perks, sometimes you're just wondering what is he doing, but in a positive way. And so here in a matchup against Yasui, I think that this is the most difficult matchup for him. You're subbing into the LCS,
Ooh.
you're up against Perks, and you're a player known for just having such a varied champion pool that you're up against someone that probably doesn't respect you as much. I think this is the kind of matchup that Perks would bust out the LeBlancs like he's shown in the past and just styled upon you. So I think Yasui can really prove his worth in the LCS with a good win here.
All right, well, a very interesting start to this draft. Udyr sent a Karma banned on the Dig side, with Kalista, Varus, and Lulu being banned by Cloud9. So both of the common enchanters being taken away. First pick is Xin Zhao for Dardoch. And of course, that means Gwen goes over to Cloud9.
Really valuing that pick without the enchanters. That's a surprising thing to me. I've been seeing the pick be so successful, and I think a big part of it is just the ultimate. When you go in, it actually allows you to not instantly get mowed down, so the enchanters buffed you up. But if Dardoch feels like this is the kind of pick that allows you to accelerate the game quicker, like we saw yesterday. You just quickly gank the bottom lane, get a few kills there. He runs over the game. It becomes very oppressive to deal with, and the itemization right now works so well with him. Whether it's a Divine Sunder or the Gore Drinker that got buffed, it feels like Xin Zhao is in a really good intersection of where the game is at.
All right, well, Dignitas already lining up some nice ones. So you've got Ezreal for King, which is kind of a fun one there. I believe his first play on the champion, at least in the LCS so far here in summer, but Leona going to be the other lock-in for Dig there. So Lee Sin is open if teams want it. I know Akali Lee Sin has been a pretty popular combination, but I feel like Akali and Xin Zhao kind of have similar things. They both want to dive into the enemy team. Xin Zhao can create a ton of space for Akali to go wild, so definitely a good duo regardless of where they end up putting the Akali, whether it's top lane or mid lane.
Their range is just phenomenal too. Normally you'd think Ezreal is a pick that is safe against these kinds of picks, but
no one is safe, Carl.
No one is safe from
no one.
Wind turns to lightning is very dangerous as a skill, so I think that this Ezreal pick will have to be played really well, because there's a lot of ways for the Dignitas composition to jump onto the backline, and it seems like Cloud9 is just going to be not only denying the Lee Sin pick, but taking it for themselves. Could be Perks's. It's a fine matchup into the Akali. You can make sure that you can kick her away when she goes in. You can tag her with your Q, see her into the Shroud. So there's a lot of counterplay that Lee offers into this pick.
Yeah, shout out to Blaze Olive, honestly, showing off that matchup as Lee Sin into Akali. Definitely can get a lot of mileage there in that 1v1. And I think, as you mentioned, Crumbs, there are lots of different ways Lee Sin can help take some of the sting out of Akali, because boy, oh boy, when she hits you after eating you, do you explode?
She is sharp.
All right, well, Volibear, kind of a surprising one, but has been picking up steam both in lane and in jungle. So kind of a cool ban away there from Dignitas. Samira also banned away from Neo. That man is very terrifying on either of these ADs, so I like the respect being given by Cloud9 as Dig's final ban will line up here.
Yeah, I like that a lot, that they're actually respecting Afro and Neo as a bottom lane that can win the games. These are very aggressive AD carries that can assist in the dive from the already selected 3 picks for Dignitas. So this is an AD carry that just last split, you would have not thought to throw any bans against him, but the way that he's been performing has continued to impress. There's still some picks that you could go that can be really deadly with here. I'm looking at champions like the Callista that he's really proficient with, that work well with the Leona, but it seems like Neo is a player that can play pretty much whatever and perform really well on it. As long as he can go in, I have faith in him.
And alongside Afro's Leona, who has been also playing very well, both individually and as a 2v2, I feel like Dig are set up very well in the bot lane there. Galio, though, the selection for Cloud9. And based on what we've seen so far, this is probably Galio support, but it could be Galio mid if Lee Sin is going to be flexed over to Blabber. So Cloud9 leaving themselves a lot of options open as Dignitas are going to take Seraphine, going all the way back, Chrome.
So there were more enchanters in the mid lane. We thought it was only the Karma and the Lulu right now, but the solo lane Seraphine still available, taking advantage of the new Shirelius to buff up the Xin Zhao. So I'm liking this out of Dignitas. They still went down with it, identified what they wanted to play. Seems like that's what they wanted out of their mid lane. We want you to just play enchanters and buff up Dardoch, and this is already a really scary team. I think it's actually just going to be the Seraphine in the bot lane, so Neo is just going to be taking that role to then assist when they start to group up. There's a lot of divers on the solo lanes, though.
Same like kind of thing, right? You know, pick an enchanter, buff up Dardoch. Just make sure the enchanter gets enough gold so Xin Zhao can go off. So Dig continuing to play around the jungle here. Viego last pick for Fake God, and it was indeed Gallery support. Last pick's actually Olaf for Blabber, which is kind of a blast from spring 2020/21. But it's funny, Crumbs, we were chatting backstage before we got on this series, like, what other enchanters can we play to get Shirelius going? And we forgot about Seraphine. Dig, one of the original teams, I think, to bring it out when she was first released. Nice to see them bring it back here.
We just wanted to shut her out of our minds because of how dominant she was in spring. It felt like she had just completely been forgotten with how many games, what incredible presence she had. But now Neo has already shown that he can play her in the bot lane, and the bottom lane will just be serving as the full assist for the three-man bruiser dive of the rest of the squad. Seraphine and Leona will offer so much crowd control that I think that's why Blabber goes with the Olaf. He just does not want to deal with getting jumped and immediately gibbed, so just go with something that can shred off the crowd control and keep going.
Yeah, I think I like the pick, actually, as Cloud9 kind of use all their draft flexibility to give Blabber Olaf. Certainly a champion he's very comfortable on, but I think, like you're saying, also one that makes sense given the composition. But speaks volumes about Neo, honestly. Like this, he can play Samira Kaiser and draw out 2 bans in phase 2, but he's also willing to play Seraphine to make sure Dardoch gets the support he needs to go off. This is a really fun draft between these two sides here. Dignitas looking to keep the ball rolling. Cloud9 as well, right? Took some blows in week number 1. Looking to try and shake that off here.
Yeah, and I'm mostly interested to see what Vulcan does with this Galio pick, because when you already saw the Xin, the Akali, they identified, all right, they're going to be diving. They're going to be going after our carries, so let's make sure that we keep them protected. And with the giant amount of AoE crowd control that Vulcan can offer, it's going to be really interesting to see how he uses his spells to peel off Yasui, Dardoch, or even Fake God from going in. So a lot of responsibilities will fall on Vulcan to win these team fights.
Some early wards being placed. There's one there in the tri-bush for Dig. Didn't quite spot out King or Vulcan, but everyone just making sure they have enough information. Also, the early river ward on the right-hand side of your screen, placed by C9. We'll see if anyone is wandering over to that side of the jungle early on. So a lot of respect being given here. No level 1s, just everyone chilling out as they're going to make their way to their respective lanes.
So excited to see what Blabber does with this Olaf. He was notorious with it last split, and even before that, he was just taking over games entirely. Now, way back, he did have Galio, but in the mid lane to help him out, or any other way to buff him up here. He's kind of left to his own devices. But Dignitas may spot out Fudge if they want to go for something cheeky.
It was kind of a... Ooh, Yasui actually going to walk into it. Fudge going to get snipped. Fudge still going. Are they swapping? Yeah, they are. Fake God's going to go mid here. Yasui does not want to play into the Lee Sin. They're actually trying to dodge the matchup.
Interesting. Yeah, and it looks like Cloud9 is just going to accept it. Fudge already got a good chunk onto him, but Yasui has the Doran shield, so he should be fine in this matchup, although he's not running Fleet, so he will have to just wait for the wave and hope to stay in XP range.
Oh, Gwen level 1. That's so brutal. Fudge is completely zoning Yasui off these waves now. I mean, did he even get XP for that creep? I don't think so. Yasui in a world of hurt right now in this early Gwen power that we've become pretty accustomed to early on.
Well, this is a challenge for him, right? You wanted to join the LCS. This is what happens, and it's going to happen when some games you are going to be falling behind. Out of the sacrifice that they took to swap these lanes, he gets caught in the river, so it will be interesting to see how he can recover. Usually in Academy, he does fine if he falls in these situations, often finding avenues to team fight more effectively, so that will have to happen here again, although it might be a bit tougher since the caliber of competition in Cloud9 is a bit higher than what he may be used to.
Yep, I will say Dig's team fighting has definitely been one of their big strengths, so excited to see how that works out, especially given the compositions. I mean, team fights are going to be pretty wild in general between these two teams. That's kind of one of the fun things that has emerged from this meta game. Also of note, Fudge actually not taking Ignite this time. Maybe he doesn't need it for the matchup, maybe he just needs a bit of added safety, but I think this is one of the first Gwens, I think Sumday's the other one I can think of from this split, that has not taken Ignite plus TP. It's Flash instead.
Yeah, it's interesting because you still get a lot of value from just being Gwen with the Flash. The Ignite is useful, but actually having the Flash to use your ultimate or even get a better angle out of your snip is significantly useful. It's not like an Akali that is always going to have her damage guaranteed with how long her range is. Gwen just has that short range hop, so there is a lot of outplay potential with Flash on the Gwen.
Also very excited to see Perks lose Sin. Definitely a champion he's played quite a bit of, especially in solo queue. Now on the LCS stage up against Fake God Viego, feeling okay here, but TS is pretty even between these two. We do know that Dardoch is on the left-hand side, but he's just taking that Scott Crab as Blabber. Also power clearing the enemy jungle. Looking to go all the way down to these Krugs. Going to avoid the wave coming in. Could have a wraparound here onto the Dig bottom lane if they want it. These minions, I don't think we'll see him. We'll find out shortly. Indeed, Blabber will pull them away. Oh, little axe. Spotted on the ground. It's giving it away.
Unless someone is looking, they would not have seen it. So I don't think that without seeing Blabber, they'd have any reason to actually check that, especially since the wave is pushing bottom. It'd be nuts, so if somebody has that foresight to actually check that and spot it, but only now will Dardoch see what just happened. But he even won't take a look at those golems just dying. So he actually won't have an idea of where Blabber was at.
Sees it on the ground again. Barely misses the cancel on that one. Blabber had the little shred of immunity that you get when recalling.
So close. You know, I think he might have actually gotten a proc on his Conqueror to know that he just based. So he might have an idea on where Blabber is at, that he just finished his recall. So he should know with that information when his Krugs will spawn, and that Blabber is interested in going to the top side, who's just been power farming bestially. So we'll see if something happens here in the top side as both junglers are in the area, and with the top lane pushing for Yasui, there could be an interest in action, although Dardoch continuing to prioritize the Perks lane.
It's one of the things in these melee matchups. Have to be careful sometimes. Not so easy to get the wave pushed out. Even though Elysium's Tempest does do pretty good work of it. Dardoch is going to wrap around mid here. Perks in trouble. W hits, in goes Dardoch, and Perks will respectfully flash away. Now Yasui and Blabber are going to do battle, but Blabber more than equipped for this fight. Good E over the wall, but Blabber finds the axe for a bit of extra damage.
Yeah, good that he was already sniffing out that Blabber was in the top side. His wave was such an indication that there could be some trouble, and knowing that Dardoch was in the mid lane, I think he played it a little bit safer as well. So good on both solo laners, respectively, to dodge out of their ganks. And so far, we've got a pretty quiet early game, except that Cloud9 is more than happy to have some of these CS advantages that they currently have, and will both have the teams trusting each other in the team fighting prowess. Every time this happened with Seraphine in the past, Seraphine just ran over the game, but she's a bit weaker now, so we'll have to see if this actually pays off for Dignitas.
All right, well, super speed dragon hit for Cloud9. Going straight forward here under 6 minutes. This is an Olaf classic in general, and C9 have the push in bottom lane, have a little bit of room, and I'll probably suspect the reset timers as well, so more than enough here to take this Mountain Dragon out. Blabber actually going to finish it off with no additional help required, just had his team nearby it. Potion not going to do enough. Blabber goes in for the last little swing of the axe, but does cut down the Drake.
It's an Olaf classic, yet sometimes it feels like it's more than anything a Blabber classic. No one's been doing Olaf like he has. His decision to just prioritize farming and objectives, and with how good he is at specifically just microing the camps, he gets so many extra seconds clearing that it allows him the extra time to actually just power farm and get so much farther ahead than his counterpart. Although the current meta with catch-up XP may be a bit tougher for him to pull significantly far ahead, as we have our first potential 3v3 in the top side.
Almost everyone's up here, actually. Vulcan already roamed up here looking for the taunt. good there. Finds 3 now. Blabber in. Exhausted in first blood already for Fudge. Aframu so low. Looking to get melted, but not dead just yet as Blabber goes in, but Dardoch takes him out. Now the numbers reset. Here is Dig actually with the advantage. Now Neo looking to move in with those Qs, but Perk's doing so much work already. Vulcan re-engages, finds Afro. Finally, that kill will be secured as Vulcan by the 2-man taunt. In they go as Perks nabs himself the double kill. And Yasui left alone. It's only him and Fake God left alive. And Cloud9 maybe looking to hunt this kill, but maybe not. Fake God back in biz here. TP's back to the mid lane as Yasui finds the relative safety of the tower. But how safe is he? Because Vulcan and Perks are still here.
They want to go for him. If he commits some spells in this wave, he's a little bit low on energy.
Off they go. Vulcan, ooh, almost hits the E, but doesn't quite get it. Good flash from Yasui. Perks right on the money with that Q. Whew.
That wasn't even around Rift Herald. That was actually just the support
That's true, it didn't even spawn.
Yeah, they just wanted to fight. The supports just made their way up to the top side. Even Seraphine made her way down there, so it looked like they were just fighting for vision and the Scuttle Crab, and Cloud9 ends up winning out so much from that fight. So they have vision control over the Pixel Brush at the moment, and in fact, they just have Neo up here roaming up, but there's no level 6s available. And Fudge already is 6. Perks hits 6. It makes a big disadvantage in this fight for Dig.
Oh, what a temper set by Perks, almost taking out Dardoch. And then Vulcan really the star of this one for me.
Yeah, this flash taunt right at the end was just so impactful for him. Yasui's, they're pretty lucky that Perks did not have a ward to continue going over and chasing, but that's a fight that Dignitas has to be avoiding. It's something that has happened for them in the past, is that they fall behind in the early game and then find their way through team fights later on. That's what these champions are supposed to do, but it's going to be more and more difficult since Cloud9 has actually drafted keeping that in mind and will be able to just face tank much of what these divers want to do and then re-engage like we just saw.
Yeah. As it is, though, Cloud9 up, approaching 3,000 gold under 9 minutes, which is pretty spectacular for them. Also, Perks is 2-0-2 on the Lee Sin, so his gold drinker is going to be coming up real quick at this stage of the game. Pretty happy in whatever side lane he ends up in. Actually, fun fact, we've semi-swapped the lanes back. Actually, Gwen is bottom lane right now, as Yasui and Afro are going to be the new duo here in mid, but again, they're going to be pretty fluid here with wherever they want to go. Perks especially basically looking to hunt down anyone who wants to fight him at this point.
And it looks like with that swap, which was perhaps the initial intent behind that earlier fight, we're just going to have more vision wars continuing to happen. Vulcan is not level 6 yet, and when that happens, C9 will just have Blabber being so much more aggressive. He'll be able to go into the jungle knowing that he can have help from the skies, and now they've isolated Yasui. It's a 4-man dive onto him. Dardoch sees it. Yasui does have the Shroud, but against 4 people, he has to respect it.
Yeah, 4v2 Vulcan again, looking to find the angle. Yasui, so much mobility, ease away. But now the Rift Tower is going to be dropped. That's a bunch of extra gold there to King and Fudge. And that's going to be first tower for Cloud9 as well. So this gold lead's getting really out of hand.
They are pushing the pace of this game faster than Dignitas can answer. Just now does Fake God crash the wave, but there's nothing, and there's a fight on Dardoch.
Dardoch again, maybe found Blabber looking for it. Does land a Q at the end as the ulti wears off. Dardoch was forced to commit that in order to stay alive.
That's a key ultimate, though. The fact that he really needs that to face check and make sure that if he gets caught, he doesn't die, will make Dignitas more hesitant when it comes to finding vision and reclaiming their jungle.
Well, one plate for Fake God is going to get it there as Fudge returns to lane. But again, Perk's not fighting Neo. He's feeling good about that matchup. He's 3 levels ahead of poor Seraphine.
She's just there for the Shurelius. That's really what she does. She just wants one item. She's just hoping to farm, and then when that happens, then they can start grouping up. They'll probably have to concede this dragon, though. The item advantage currently on Cloud9 is just massive. You already have multiple mythics completed for them. You've got the Gore Drinker and the Divine Sunder in particular for King. That's just such a big spike right now when not a single member on Dignitas has any mythic completed. They'll just have to give this one up and look to take fights when they're better geared.
Yeah, obviously not been paying too much attention to what's happening at bottom lane because all the action has been on the top side, but King farming just fine. Neo doing okay, but maybe as expected, King getting a little bit of an early edge. Probably has something to do with the fact that Neo did roam. King didn't. It was Vulcan that did all the work in that top side for Cloud9. King wasn't required, so C9 will indeed use all this general strength they have to take their second dragon of the game, and with how quickly Olaf took the first one, Cloud9 on a very good pace to take the first 4 dragons swiftly here if Dignitas can't answer. Already 4,000 gold ahead now for Cloud9.
Dignitas is not able to answer the team fights because they're down in items and even in the sidelines, but Blabber is by himself.
Here we go again. Ragnarok pop. Vulcan though finds 2 with the taunt. Edgedual ulti's not going to hit Dardoch there. But now on the front side, it's Vulcan that's in trouble. He will be left for dead. Fake God now. He's Galio. In he goes, looking at E forward. But Taunt not going to find it. King and Blabber will take the blast cone out to safety. Nice pick there for Dig getting one back.
Seems like Dig is just now starting to roam as a unit to make sure that they can catch Cloud9 doing what they just tried, which was countering the jungle, getting deeper vision. They see Blabber force out the ultimate, and Vulcan trying to save him ends up biting the dust as well. Perks should be fine, though. His Wardhop will be available.
Why Perks is here, I don't know. Kick there for Afro into the wall, but Perks still going. Flashes out, but was on a real...
Yeah.
solo mission there.
Didn't need to do any of that one, actually. Could have just saved that flash and easily ward hopped over as he already has a control ward in his inventory. But hey, he just wanted to test out his new Gore Drinker, see what it's all about, using it in front of a bunch of melee champions. Just burns the flash, though, still lives, and will go back to the bot side as he now has Blabber shadowing him, allowing him to continue this push. By himself, he could still take down Fake God with his damage advantage. So just making sure that he has Blabber allows him to be even more aggressive, and with Vulcan right behind him, this really is just a Lee Sin with 2 people backing him up.
Yeah, Mythic's also done on the Dig side now. Divine Sunder finished up for Dardoch, and interestingly, Moonstone back on the menu here for Neo. Not going to be the battle song this time around.
There's a lot of sustain on this lineup, so Cloud9 will have to keep that in mind when they take these fights, because their itemization to include grievous wounds isn't that easy to pull off. So if one of these fights happens where Dignitas just gets to continue to abuse the Moonstone healing, it can catch Cloud9 off guard. So they have to know that this is something that will continue to get worse, and that they'll have to start prioritizing healing reduction, or else these fights could just go on forever with Neo keeping Dig alive.
All right, well, that's certainly the Dig plan. Again, they are very far behind in this game, but still plenty left to play here. 14 minutes in. Cloud9 still holding about 4K up. They'll play for that third dragon in 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Is going to be their third if they can nab it. Also an Infernal Soul very swiftly on the way for them if they can claim all the Drakes in a row, which is a pretty nice prize for taking Dragon pre-6 minutes is all off.
Ezra loves that one. The other champions,
Who doesn't love Infernal Soul?
I think actually even the Galley, everyone's got damage, so it's just a beautiful ultimate, especially when you see that damage proc hit. That's the most satisfying, where you don't hurt.
King is getting in there. Neo feeling the pain. Moonstone going to have to do some overtime here. The King does not get the kill. Good poke, though.
Ooh. It's really going to allow them now to push in the mid lane. There's not a good amount of wave clear on this Dignitas side, so even if Cloud9 doesn't commit to attacking the turret, it just buys them so much time to go into the jungle. There's no AoE spells that can be thrown at a distance that keeps them safe from the poke, so they always are going to take some damage if Cloud9 is to siege, and that just makes the Cloud9 pressure that much more relentless if they start poking out Dig members.
Well, the gold Cloud9 have as well. Just so much space in these side lanes. Perks is basically solo taking this tower up against Yasui. Does have Vulcan in the back pocket just in case. But Gwen, I mean, we know how good she is in a side lane. Fudge is also taking over the bottom half of the map up against Fake God. And the bot tier 2 is actually relatively low already, as Blabber and Vulcan will see that ward outside the Herald pit. They are looking to take the Herald for themselves, as King has also got himself a blue buff. I believe that's the enemy blue, Crumbs.
Yeah, they've got everything. They run this jungle right now. Dignitas really does not want to take a fight with fair numbers. They are hoping that Cloud9 overextends, but their members aren't even that easy to catch. There's a lot of mobility, a lot of damage and survivability thus far, and when you also have the teleports available, anywhere that they look to take a fight, Cloud9 will be quick to respond. So they just have to take the backseat and hope that Cloud9 presents an opportunity where they can pounce like they did against Blabber and they caught Vulcan. But those are far and few in between, as Cloud9 is playing methodical this game.
Perks is just denying as many minions here as he can.
Love it.
It's a jerk move, but an effective one, as Perks going to find Fake God in the mist in just a moment. But again, Perks is not afraid of anyone in a 1v1 right now.
He's so tanky, too. He already has the Merc Treads, too, so that will keep him alive. If Afro and Neo want to show up with the kick to disengage, he can continue to play aggressive. And in fact, he'll just take a recall right now, get a little bit tankier, make sure that Dardoch or Fake God won't be able to burst him down. And already the Grievous Wounds are coming out. Has that Bramble Vest available, and with this Rift Herald, Cloud9 will be able to keep Dignitas at bay and make them stick to their turret while they collect their third dragon for free.
A really nice bit of timing here. So much space created here for Cloud9. They've got Lights completely off in the bottom half as well. Great toggle there, observers, as Cloud9 just have so much vision. King's like doing it over the wall with Blabber. And it's going to be a dragon that I don't think Dig can contest. And Dig with Fudge having all this room in bottom side, Cloud9 have set it up beautifully.
This has been something that has been criticized at Dignitas, is that sometimes they feel like they haven't been looking for much action. But this game in particular, the options really are so limited. Cloud9 is playing so well in just matching every single side lane, making sure that they have the vision on the members that can make a play. And since those two are limited to Neo and Afro, as long as they've got eyes on those, they know that nobody else on Dignitas can really go for a play. They're going after Perk, so just use his W.
Lee Sin pretty tricky to kill. Kick there. Oh, good. As Dardoch does ulti as well. Immunes the knockup that will come through. Fake God finds the shutdown. Now going to possess old Perksy as Fudge. TPs to the top side to try and save his mid lane, but way too late for that one.
Almost outplayed it. He actually lived so long with the Gorge Drinker, but they still will lose that mid lane turret. So Cloud9 is getting the objective advantage here with Fudge teleporting to the top side. He will protect that tower. So you did get the shutdown, but Cloud9 continues to advance their pressure as a result of such a commitment from Dignitas in the top.
Yep, definitely worth there on the Cloud9 side, but Dig still getting some gold. Very important for them to find whatever they can, because any gold is good for them right now, given the advantage Cloud9 have been building. Still up 5,000 gold on the Cloud9 side, so it is not an easy task for Dignitas to try and make something happen. But at least finding a little bit of room here, finding Perks on the top side. That's the productivity you do want to see. Again, every little shred of gold matters right now.
They finally have those mythics completed too, so it came right on time, as they will have to take this next fight. And it's going to be one of those fights that should be prioritized around winning the actual fight and not the objective, despite it being an Infernal Soul. A fight that you win here, because it's 3 minutes from now, you win hard enough, you can get a Baron out of that one. And you can really start clawing your way back. So they should set their sights on that, and that will have to prioritize vision and making sure that, hey, if a fight doesn't even happen, if you just catch a few members out of Cloud9 before those key ultimates come through, that's the kind of advantage that you need to win. It's a bit of a Hail Mary, but you have to go for it right now, or else Cloud9, with that Infernal Soul Ezreal, is just going to poke you to death.
Yeah, we're building up to a very quick soul. As you said, Crumb's going to be about 22 minutes on the Infernal Soul of Cloud9. Get it. 2-item Ezreal is done. Gwen is on the way to Nash's as well, and I'm sure Perks isn't that far away from his second item either, so it's going to be predictably a good spot for Cloud9 to pick a fight here, but Dig have to make some sort of stand, whether it's a steal attempt, whether it's just a straight pick, whether they really just throw it all at the wall and go for a 5v5 team fight. But Dignitas, no, in 2 minutes and 20 seconds, they need to make a play.
Yeah, and at least they've seen that they actually can kill Perks, so they have a member that they can go after. Xin and Fake God have enough damage together. It's going to be a little bit slower now that the Ramble Vest is completed, but that should give them the confidence to actually look for something, and they can tank some of this poke. Not much, though. You got to still be careful there, Afro. The Moonstone is powerful, but not powerful enough to shrug off all of King's damage.
And King has so much safety. He's surrounded by 4 people, but I don't think they can really kill him with this tower here. So he maybe will try and look for the angle, but it's going to be a tough one here to try and move Ezreal out of his little kingdom here in mid. Oh, don't go too close. King knows.
Oh, he just saw him, I think.
Yeah, now sees Yasui, but going to shift away. Yasui looking for it. Galio, though, going to save the day. Very nice from Vulcan there to protect his AD. And Cloud9 going to disengage pretty swiftly. 1:30 still to set up for this Drake.
Yeah, I think Galio will have his ultimate back up, and he now has his locket, so it's going to be so much tankiness for the side of Cloud9. They are entirely geared up to win this next fight and run away with the game. It's looking dire for Dignitas, rather. That ultimate, that look, you got to do that. Maybe oh, whoa. That one will really sting. I don't think that one will come back up for this dragon fight pastry.
Unfortunate misclick there for Neo, but Dignitas, again, they just have to brush it off. A tough game for sure, but this is the spot you need to fight. 60 seconds until the Infernal Soul is available for Cloud9.
Oh, that one really hurts. That's a major ultimate that would have won you a fight. You could catch 5 members on that and actually lock them down. So more than ever, it's going to be upon Aframu to find a pick. Maybe Dardoch and Fake God can look for something. The good news is I don't think Cloud9 saw it, but they're already surrounding Yasui.
This is really nice from Cloud9, attacking a potential spot here. Perks does get the reveal with the E, but now the TP is coming in. Cloud9, they take the tower, they take the teleport cooldown. That's more than enough for a little bit of pressure there.
There won't be a flank now, but they're committing to this. They want to keep going, yet Aphromoo is not in the area. King is now making his way onto the Dragon Pit. He will be starting to poke from the side. Dardoch still hasn't been spotted, so maybe he can find an angle to engage.
King is a little bit late, but does make it in time for the fight, as you can see on your screen. Ulti for Neo also not up yet. Fudge now looking to maybe get in there. Immunes the root out of Seraphine's E with the Gwen W, but the cooldown's pretty long on that one. As Cloud9 again setting up, they know Dignitas are going to come to fight them.
Yeah, but I don't think Cloud9 knows that the Seraphine ultimate is down, so Dig wants to buy some time. Dardoch can go for a flash steal, but that would lose them Baron if he dies.
Perks found a pick maybe on Yasui. No, not yet. Yasui diving back in. Ulti back up for the Akali. Perks now a little bit low, but still fighting. Yasui has the gold drink already as well. Fake God looking for King, but now Cloud9 moving in there. Fudge already took down Dardoch, and now Fudge is still fighting. Yasui gets that kill as well. Now Perks gets it. It's King, actually, that takes out Fake God's Viego, and Perks are just tanking everyone. Now they've got the Infernal Soul. C9 can do no wrong as the gold drinker pops. King grabs himself the double kill. Perks pops up the Happy Bee to take down Aphromoo, and it's just an absolute massacre around the Dragon Pit for Cloud9. This is rude. Takes the cannon before the support.
What Fudge just did there was illegal. What in the world was that? He dashed into 3 people, eliminates the jungler, then takes out the mid laner, and then just wins the fight for the team flat out by himself. Didn't even have the Galio ultimate for that. That was ridiculously well played out of this Gwen. That was so clutch. There was no opportunity for Dignitas to even think of engaging. Cloud9 just pulled the trigger first and just obliterated Dig.
And they get Baron off that as well, so we take a look at the bot line. Ace, Fudge just going off here.
Yeah, okay, so they're grouped up right now with Akali on the side, but then what can you do? The Xin is just by himself. Akali's not inside the Shroud, then eliminates her instantly. Ridiculous damage, while the rest of the squad gets eliminated on the bot side. That was so well played from the Gwen.
This is not okay.
It's not? It really isn't. But we watched it. And we encourage it, because that's the kind of play that shows the individual prowess that these players have.
Is a fun little one there as Perks and Afro have a little bit of a dance-off. Afro knew what was going on. Galio ulti, they're going to try and save Perks, kicks him out of there. Dignitas still fighting. 3v5 though, I think, for Plum against Neo. And Cloud9, the wallet's just too big. There's nothing Dignitas can do. It's another Bud Light ace, Crumb.
And they're going to end the game from this one. The spawn timers, the wallets, everything has lined up from Cloud9. And in a signature Blabber Olaf play, flashing over the wall to just use a reckless swing on the rest of the squad. Cloud9 will obliterate Dignitas in under 25 minutes. This was a definite dominant win. They are back on form.
Fudge is filthy, man. 21 Magi stacks as Cloud9 are going to slap down the Nexus to end their week 2. And what a game to finish off their weekend.
They are well practiced with the Gwen pick. They have the meta picks down. They had less time than everybody else, but it clearly is showing that they have not missed a beat in catching up to speed with how to execute on these power picks. Once they got that lead on that top river fight, they never let go. It felt like Dignitas was entirely suffocated. Cloud9 played so well around their solo lanes and using the Galio to make sure there was never an option that Dignitas could take.
That was a great coordinated for Cloud9. The reason I'm laughing is if you've never seen Fudge in real life, he is so tall.
Yeah.
Like, way taller than you could possibly think a human is legally allowed to be. And they actually coordinated so Fudge could send on a little, Perks could send on a little lip of the stage so they could all be lined up to take the vow together. That is true teamwork out of Cloud9.
Without Sven, he looks even bigger. Because Sven is very tall, but now he's just standing like a giant. And he was giant this game. He really was.
That was a really dirty Gwen performance out of Fudge. I mean, again, I think you said it right there, Crumbs. Cloud9 just understand these picks, right? This is a team that is always willing to try the new champions, right? Always wanting to be flexible, having lots of different picks. Even the fact that they just gave them Akali. Like, Akali is so powerful.
Yeah.
And they're just like, yeah, have it. We think we can beat it.
They gave them Akali, but then they had the answer right away, right? So they understood which one would work into it. The Lee Sin as the answer to it. The Galio as well, I thought was really useful to making sure that Akali could just never get in. If Dignitas got off to a hot start, the Galio would still serve as a great peel tool against it. So I think they had an idea of what Dignitas wanted to go for and just stopped it right from the draft and executed even better on it.
And then it gets better because the lane swap happened, and Cloud9 said, sure.
Yeah.
Fud could play the matchup, that's fine. He like, right?
He won the matchup from the river, right? He caught the Akali and then immediately just never stopped pressuring Yasui, who had to lane swap top. So he had an advantage from the top lane that just carried it through the game.
Yeah, I mean, tough to not just praise Cloud9 for the next 5 minutes because I feel like everything did well. Again, we didn't even need to talk about the bottom lane. Vulcan though deserves a ton of credit for really getting the snowball rolling in that game. I'm with you. I guess they were just setting up for the Rift Herald because I hadn't even spawned yet.
Yeah.
But Vulcans had back-to-back taunts just in that play alone that basically said the game's over.
And that's the kind of play that you love to see from your support, just roaming and assisting in the solo plays in an unexpected way. Because it's often the supports that get to roam first that just influence those fights that are breaking out between solo lanes. And suddenly you're just pinging your own support. Where is my guy? But he's just a second behind, and that second can make all the difference.
All right, so Crumbs, we're learning week on week as the meta evolves, as these different champions get picked. Who would you rather first pick now, Akali or Gwen?
Gwen. I'm still going Gwen. That was just filthy. She can engage. That's the key from Gwen. She can engage and not actually get instantly gibbed, whereas Akali has to be so much more precise with who she goes after.
Also fun that, again, Galio, the only protection. No enchanters on the Cloud9 side, but apparently not needed. We are going to head over to the stage, though, where the Tigress will be talking with our spring MVP Blabber in our Verizon post-game interview.
Yeah, we got Blabber here nice and quick after a very quick game. Anyone that took a little bit of a lunch break may have not been able to finish their sandwich. How did Cloud9 pull this one off?
I think we just had a better early game plan and draft. Honestly, I was able to pick Olaf with pushing mid bot, so I was able to secure all the objectives, and they were forced to fight us for the 4th dragon, or they were going to lose Soul, and well, they're so far behind at that point, so they couldn't win, and we were just able to close out very easily.
Yeah, all of those Drakes, all three around 1830, so swiftly secured. One thing that we got to see too is a continuation of the lane swapping that Cloud9 has been working on so much. How much of a priority has that been in your preparation?
I think both Fudge and Perks are really good at playing mid and top together, and because a lot of the picks right now can go to either lane, they're very comfortable playing either lane. I know the two of them do one-on-ones a lot versus each other to practice these matchups, so I'm sure they're very comfortable.
And we have gotten to hear a little bit from Perks after the last victory. It's been a while since we have checked in with you here on the stage. So I do want to know, generally speaking, how have you been spending the time since MSI, making these adjustments coming into summer?
I think we're slowly getting back to how we felt before. Obviously, the first week we had only 2 or 3 days of practice, so we didn't really have a good read on what we thought was good or what anyone thought was good, so we kind of were just winging what we were playing. But I think this week we knew what we wanted to play, and we had a really good idea of how we wanted to play with our team. So I'm really happy that we were able to 3-0 this week.
Yeah, and getting to see you on picks like the Olaf again, on which you are very comfortable. Is that intentional to have kind of that in your range, or just something that worked out within the comp?
I think Olaf just ended up being a really good pick in this game specifically. I think I was able to take all the objectives, which my champ is really good at, and I think their champs in particular weren't super good against mine.
Yeah, well, I'd say it's pretty hype getting to see Cloud9 really just crushing it, not just in that game, but kicking off the weekend with a perfect game. Did you have any particular reaction when you did actually end it perfectly?
We didn't have any reaction, but we noticed halfway through the game that we could perfect game it, and Vulcan actually TP'd on the bot tier 1 that was 1 HP. He was like, I'm not giving up this tower, and we were like, no one die. So we were playing for it, but I don't think anyone was super hyped afterwards.
We were a little scared that somebody was going to run into Fountain at the end. So thank you for not doing that. And thank you for stopping by here on the stage. All right, everybody. We're going to kick it to a break. But on the other side, we will continue with our last game of the day. Stay tuned.
Cool.
Nice and swifty.
Thank you very much.
It all comes down to this one last dragon fight to call the whole game. But look at the damage on the wombo combo. All 5 enemy players down. GG!